Hi all, Amy here, day 78 of my 90-day video challenge. 12 to go. My God, that seems really within reach now. That's great. Well, not great because I will miss it, but glad that we're getting closer to the end of the goal. Feel a sense of achievement. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about whether or not we make enough effort to really get to know the older generation. Now, that might not mean members of your family if you don't have any elderly relatives left. I only have my grandmother now, but I went to a funeral today and it was my great auntie Eve, so my grandmother's brother's wife, and she was 95, so we can't really be too sad because she actually had enough, and she openly said that she'd had enough. She'd had various operations and she was in pain, and she'd openly said, I've had my life, I've had enough. I had a great 95th birthday party, brilliant attitude. She was a very switched on lady, and going to her funeral today taught me something, which was that we are so attached at the moment in the generation we're living in to previous generations of people who have been through some of the biggest events in history. And I think it's really important that we make an effort to get to know the older people around us. So I found out today at her funeral that Auntie Eve had spent time in the company of Albert Einstein, and I thought that was incredible. I was so impressed. I was like, go on, Auntie Eve, that's awesome. And I actually didn't realise that Albert Einstein lived so recently. I thought he was much, much older. But I thought that was great. But more touching and more sort of poignant to me was one of my mum's cousins pointing out that she was interviewed, Auntie Eve was interviewed in 2010 about her time living through World War II. And this interview is on the BBC News archives on one of the local radio stations. There's a clip, a 3-minute clip of her being interviewed, talking about the German Luftwaffe planes bombing her factory where she worked. And she describes in vivid detail how she thought she was going to die. She'd cycled to work that morning. They could hear the planes coming. My lights have all just gone off. What's going on there? What's going on? Lights, please. Hello? What is... There we go. Oh, never mind. Bizarre. Don't know how my own car works. Anyway, German Luftwaffe planes were circling and they started bombing the factory where she was working in Weybridge in Surrey. Now, this is like 10-15 minutes down the road from me, and I just cannot imagine what that would be like. It's the sort of stuff that we only see on the news now in the Middle East or whatever, and I just think it's amazing that my grandmother's generation, and you know, a lot of you watching this will have relatives of a generation that have lived through this stuff, and it wasn't that long ago. And I just think, God, it's so important that we document this, and I'm so grateful that the BBC have this on their website that we can access. But it's so important that we do use the internet and technology now that we've got available to document this stuff while these people are still around, and not let these stories die with them. And I really now want to go and document some of the stories my grandmother's told me, because, you know, she's not going to be around for that much longer. I wouldn't have thought. Well, I say that she is pretty strong at the moment, but these stories cannot die with that generation. We've got to document them, and I just think it's so a privilege to feel connected to someone who's lived through something like that. She was describing in this interview in vivid detail, like running across a meadow. Someone threw her to the floor because the machine guns from the planes were shooting at them. She could see the swastikas of the Germans on the planes. And I just can't imagine what that must have been like. But I have so much admiration for people that went through that, and feel really privileged to be connected to it and have heard that story. And just such respect for this lady who lived till the grand old age of 95 and went through so much and was so together. I mean, that would be enough to destroy you emotionally and mentally, but she went on to live an amazing life. So I think it's really important. Today's video, I just wanted to sort of highlight that you never know what stories or little gems of information you might be connected to. So get to know the older generation. Get to know your neighbours or people in your community that are older than you. You just don't know what they've been through, and what you might learn about your history and world history, and how you might be involved in that. And I think it's really interesting. So that's today's message, day 78. I will see you in day 79. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel down here somewhere, and jump on over to the Facebook page, like it. If you want to contact me, hit me up on Facebook. That's usually where I hang out most. And I will see you in day 79. Thanks, bye.